it's Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm. Today we're going to be loom knitting a black crow. These look really cute on the mini bales of straw that you can get like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And they're just, they're really simple, and this really look cute on wreaths and next to pumpkins and all of that. So I thought this would be a really easy tutorial, and this is a project video, so this video assumes that you already know how to do the basic E-wrap stitch. That's all that we're using is the E-wrap. I learned it as the stockinette stitch, so it's just the E-wrap stitch is all we're using. If you do not know how to loom knit and you want to learn, I have an intro to loom knitting, and I also believe on the hat video and Afghan video I show you how to actually loom knit. This video will not teach you how to loom knit. This video assumes you know how to loom knit already, so this is a project video. I'm using the smallest round loom that comes in the standard loom set that like you'd buy at Walmart or something. It's about 5.5 in diameter, and the interior looming hole, whatever we're going to call it, center, it's about 4.5. So this is what I'm using to do this. I'm just using a black 4-weight acrylic yarn, and I did double strands, so I worked from the interior of the skein and the exterior of the skein at the same time. The first thing I did, we want to do this long, under this long piece is going to be the tail, and I loom knitted it just on 4 pegs. Let me see how long it was. 5.5 inches. Okay, and what I did, and if you've watched my how to loom knit a newborn bonnet, then you've sort of seen, and also the straps on the how to loom knit a cute sweater top. Some other of the videos I've used it, but I'm just taking, I just took 4 pegs, so we're on this side, and I staggered it out. So I loom knitted for about 4 inches, and then each time I came back to the 4 pegs, I went out a peg, and I did that one. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4 or 5 times. I just kept going out of pegs. So it gradually became like a triangle. You got like wider and wider, and you can see how, let me put this, some white paper under here. Okay, this will work. So you can see how it started out, the long piece, and then as I hit the 4th, the last time for the 4 inches, then I did, so then I did 7, and then I did 8, 9, then I did 9, and so I did that till I got, let's see, so I did that 4 times. I expanded, so it became like a triangle, like a tongue. And then I hit up here, and I just continued around the loom. And basically we're doing like, it's like basically a cuffless hat or a tube, like a sock kind of thing. And I loom knitted for approximately 8.5 inches. Not counting the tail, just the, when I got up to this part. So the entire, so the 4 pegs was about 4.5 inches. Nothing's rocket science, so it doesn't have to be exact here. And then after I hit the 4.5, I started the graduating out. Did that for approximately 1.5 inches until I began just going around and around and around. Alright, so we got up here, and what we're going to do is take this off the loom. I want to leave myself some yarn to work with here. And if you watch my loom knitting videos, I always use this big upholstery needle. It's very long, it's very strong, and I've used it for years. I got it in an upholstery section of some hobby store about 20 years ago, and this is what I prefer to use to finish off, take things off my loom, just because it's so big and so sturdy. So I'm just going to take it off the loom, just like you would regularly. I will say, as I'm doing this, you're also going to need a piece of orange felt, a needle and thread, preferably with orange matching thread. Alright, so when we get it off the loom, It's just like, comes off just like a hat, and we're going to cinch it up. This is going to be the top of its head up here. So let's cinch it tight. We're going to do a few stitches to close up that hole. Alright, so when we cinch up the head, I'll put my hand in there, it looks like the top of a little hat, and we have the tail piece. Alright, so we're going to stuff him with some fiberfill. And do not stuff it so tight that you're seeing your yarn start stretching. You just want it to be nice. Fill that tube there. Okay, down here at the bottom, I'm going to put a little bit more stuffing so it's a little bit rounder. What I'm working at here is we're going to be folding these edges in and closing that up. Alright, so I have it stuffed. Now using the same yarn, can't do a knot like regular sewing, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a stitch and tie a knot, and I'm going to poke that tail in there. Okay, now I want to fold the raw edge under. And you can pin this if you want. And I want to sew this closed. Okay, now you want to be careful. You can see when I was sewing, it was starting to do that. You want it to flow nicely from the body, not be like a separate, like a cattail. So, alright, so it's sewed shut. Here you have the tail thing, which is his feather tail here. So you just want to sort of mold it where we have that graduating going down here. You want to keep that look there. Here is going to be the head. So just sort of play with it and mold it. And the head's about 3 inches long is what I'm doing there. I'm just going to put my needle through. Alright, when you get it through, pull it through and leave some on both sides. Now take this, and you're going to holding onto this because you're going to cinch it tight. Now you can use this piece that you left out to tie to this piece. And tie it. You have the longer tail for a reason. You can decide if you want it to leave it really long, or you can fold it to wherever you think it looks good. And I'm probably going to wait till I get my legs on to decide, but I like it sort of folded in half. So we'll see what I decide there. Okay, now let's go ahead. We're going to do you can do it two ways. We can finish it as is, or we can do wings. I'm going to go ahead and finish it and assume that this one would be without wings, and then I'll show you how to do the wings, and we can do that separate. The next thing we're going to do is we want to cut a beak. Now I've got 2 different colors of orange. You could probably also use a yellow or a brown, or you could use black too. And we want to cut a triangle. If you have a rectangle one, you can just cut right across the corner. And again, this is going to be, you need to sort of eyeball it here. And using my needle and thread, I'm sort of going to fold it in half. That crease helps there. Then I'm just going to, you're sort of eyeballing it. You want to look and put it sort of in a central location. the face. Okay, now I want to fold it all the way in the two other longer edges. I'm going to make a stitch. So basically you did the one stitch with the open triangle. Now I'm putting the two corners together to form a beak. And I'm going to sew that onto the crow here. Making this for a child's toy instead of a decoration, you need to probably be a lot more sturdy with your sewing, but mine's decoration. So here we have, let me see what I did. I folded the edges together and then I sewed it to the face. And I sewed it right here. So this is sort of just all open right there. For its eyes, I just had like this straw colored yarn. You could glue on googly eyes. They also make button eyes that are they're like shank buttons, but they look like eyes. Eyes. Okay, so using I want to cut in like a square. I'm trying to do it like this so you can see what I've done. So I've used the corner and I've cut in like a square. So let me see if I put it on something white here. So I've cut in at both sides, so it's a square. And then I'm going to do a long pull. And I'm cutting this longer than I know I need because I want to adjust it when I get it on him. So using the corner of the piece of felt, we used the first corner for the beak. Now we got two corners down here. We're going to make legs out. So do the square. That way when we go like this, it's going to be a foot. And we can cut it and adjust it. Okay, once you cut one, and I made this one it's about 4.5 inches from the corner point to the end. And once you make one, put it over on the other corner and cut around it so they're both the same. You could sew if you wanted to, but I'm just going to make a very small triangle there and a small triangle here, just right in the middle. And I'm going to do that on this side too. Now what I want to do is my needle and thread. I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it up. In the back, I'm going to do a couple stitches. And then when I undo it, we have a 3D effect. I'm going to do that on both of them. I've got two, so I have two 3D little legs here. Okay, so we have his tail piece and we have his face, and here's the under part here. So I want to take my legs, find a spot, and you could glue this too if you wanted to, but I find I'm a sewer, so I find it easier to sew, but you could just take your felt and you could hot glue it right there if you wanted to. I'm just going to do a stitch on each corner. Little legs on there. Now you can see where, I'm just going to put this right here. So you can see his little legs, and you can sort of squish them down and make him have more of a belly there. Now this is when you can adjust his tail length. And for me, I think I like it about folded in half. And I'm going to put this, first of all I'm going to trim up this tail a little bit. And I'm going to poke that inside. And I'm just going to fold it. Oh, let me see if I like the whole half. Yeah. Okay, so I want to fold it all the way up. You figure out how you want it. It's also going to give it, you might be saying, well, why didn't you just do it half as long? Well, it's the thickness that I also wanted. So, I mean, if you want to do that and just want to knit, you know, I don't know, 3 inches instead of doing the full one that I showed you, that's fine. But it will be long and skinny and it may curl in. But if you do it this double thickness, you can adjust it however you want it. You have the advantage of being able to adjust it where you think it looks good, and you're going to have the thickness. Okay, so what do we have? The crow and his tail. Now, if you wanted wings, I'm going to use the interior. You might have a small loom. They make very small looms. I'm going to use just the interior of this flower loom in order to make a small tube to make a wing. If you've watched the how to knit a bluebird on the nest video, it's going to be the same exact concept. I'm going to be knitting probably, and right now I'm just guessing because I need to get in there and start doing it, probably about a 3-inch long tube on this, and I'm going to do 2 of those, and then we're going to come back. It's going to be like a little mini hat, about 3 inches long, no cuff, and there'll be 2 little. If you look at the chair booty video, if you've done that one, just making 2 of those. Let me go do my wings, and when we come back, I'll show you the wings, and then I'll show you how we attach them. Last night I finished doing the 2 little wings, and I knitted for. Went ahead and stitched a little bit longer for about 3 3/4, almost 4 inches. I did 2 of them. I left one on the thing so we can take it off. So let's go ahead and look at that, and then we'll hook them to the crow and we'll see what the finished product looks like. Alright, so I used the interior of the flower loom like I said I was going to do. Take it off of the loom. Couple of stitches just to close the hole. Okay, now I've got 2 of the little booty looking things. The rounded end that we just cinched up is going to be the top of the wing. And what we want to do, and why I did it a little bit longer, is so I could look at the length and play around with it. And we want to fold in. So here's the tube. And we want to fold it in a little bit so your wing has more of a tapered to a point kind of look to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this needle, and I'm hooked to the yarn that was at the end of the cinching. I'm just going to put my needle inside. I'm going to pull out the other end. The tail from making it, I'm just going to tuck that in there. And I'm just going to fold it, push it in a little bit. And then I'm just going to sew this end close, and I'm going to sew it together where I'm pinching at it. So you can see it's like round here, and it looks like it tapers off like a wing. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, again, I'm not going to cut my thread, I'm just going to go poke my needle back into my wing and up to the top again. And then I'm going to position my wing on the side of the crow. And I'm just going to make a few stitches to add the wing on. Finished the little crow. This one more. That has been loom knitting a black crow, and I hope you can use this for your fall decorations. I know it's going to look really cute sitting next to a pumpkin. And if you didn't check out last year, I posted acorn and pumpkin. Yes, acorn and pumpkin how-tos on how to loom knit a pumpkin, how to loom knit an acorn, and there's also some ghosts and other things on there, but those were seasonal. And I have a few other seasonal fall loom knitting projects that will be coming that I'll be posting while the season lasts. Thank you for joining us today at Canterbury Trails Farm. And again, if you haven't learned how to loom knit and you'd like to, check out my intro to loom knitting video. It's really simple, anyone can do it, and there's no reason why you can't start making these fun, easy projects. It just takes a little bit of practice, and if you can wrap something around a peg, you can figure it out. So thanks for joining us. Talk to you later. Bye.